Learn more about what they can provide for us on this journey toward better health. So Nancy, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here.
Browning.
So tell me a little bit about your background and why you're doing all this stuff with Metagenics.
Well, I came to Metagenics almost 5 years ago. And prior to that, I was with a pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
And the last pharmaceutical company I was with actually launched the first prenatal with the omega-3 fish oils in them. So before we did the launch, I wanted to be able to talk intelligently to doctors. So I did some investigation into the omega-3 fish oils and found out there's benefits for everyone across the board. But in particular, what piqued my interest was that they said there could be some benefits for people with MS. And I had been diagnosed with MS in 2000. And, I was suffering minor symptoms, for a long time. I started taking omega fish oils right away as soon as I read that. And it's been almost 5 years now, and I've been asymptomatic.
Wow.
Of course, I've added a lot of other things besides the fish oils, but that started me on the journey. And so I started looking at maybe pharmaceuticals isn't the answer, and that's when I came to Metagenics.
That's exciting, and that's kind of been my journey too. As many of you discovered, I had chronic fatigue syndrome, couldn't get better with any of the traditional medical treatments that anybody had to offer me, and it was really natural medicine, lifestyle changes, supplements that really helped me to get better. For those of you that don't know, multiple sclerosis or MS is a very complicated autoimmune disorder where your nervous system gets attacked and everything starts falling apart, and I am so thrilled that Nancy is doing so well. But again, what she discovered is what I discovered, is that there's a lot of natural things out there that we can use to get healthy. And this company, Metagenics, is very involved in that, correct?
Very much so. We are all about, we're not pill pushers. We're into people's lives, we're into people's health, and we're trying to reverse chronic illness.
Okay.
And the company is all about the science, all about the people, and all about really taking on the challenge that traditional medicine just can't seem to handle right now.
And on the screen, you'll see the website for Metagenics, which is a wonderful site. It's got a lot of great information on it, and you can go there to discover more about their products and what they have to offer to help you get well, but also to search for practitioners that provide these products, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So Nancy, tell me, what sets Metagenics apart from all these other supplement companies? I mean, there's hundreds of them out there. I get magazines and calls and things from people all the time saying, sell my products here. Why is Metagenics different?
And I love it when people ask me that question, because we are really different. And probably some of the biggest things that set us apart is the science behind our products. We actually are one of the few companies that have a dedicated research facility. It's in Gig Harbor, Washington, and we run between 3,000 and 5,000 patients through there a year, testing our products, number one, to make sure they're safe, and number two, to make sure that they work.
Wow.
So there's a lot of science behind our products. We also test every ingredient that goes into each product to make sure that it's pure and that it is what, the manufacturer, the company, the suppliers say it is, and to make sure that the right ratio goes into everything. Another thing is we are one of the few nutrition companies that is actually triple GMP certified. What that means is that we have 3 independent auditing agencies that come into our manufacturing facility and make sure that we're doing things right.
Wow, that's exciting. And for those of you that don't understand, supplements are not regulated by anyone. Anybody can make any old claim that they want to make. The FDA kind of superficially supervises these things. What's so important for all of you is that you're taking supplements that you know actually contain the ingredients that they say they have, and that they actually do something, that there's some studies that show that this product actually helps you. And with most of the things out there, you can't be sure of that. With Metagenics, you can be. And that's one of the reasons that I respect Metagenics so much. So tell me a little bit about what kind of studies Metagenics has done, and why is that so important?
Well, another differentiation is we actually have what are termed medical foods. Now, the way I describe a medical food on the continuum between a basic supplement and a prescription drug, a medical food kind of falls in the middle. We are the only nutraceutical company that has them. And we are regulated by the FDA, and we do have to be indicated for a specific condition.
Okay.
So we have a medical food for fibromyalgia, which you use a lot, Ultra Clear Renew. We have medical foods for cardiometabolic syndrome. We have medical foods for anti-inflammatory conditions, and we have medical foods for blood sugar issues.
So when we're talking about a medical food, and I know that you brought a couple of them here with me, let's pick out the Ultra Clear Renew for just a second here and kind of show that. So why is that a medical food? What makes it so that you can call it that?
Again, we're regulated by the FDA, and there's actual studies behind this.
Okay.
And that's actually the big thing, is the science and the studies. We have to prove that it actually works.
Okay.
And with the Ultra Clear Renew, we actually worked with patients with fibromyalgia. And you know, those are difficult patients to deal with. We got such wonderful results in symptom relief. And when you're relieving symptoms in a patient with fibromyalgia, you're talking about a quality of life issue then, because you're improving their quality of life. One of our other medical foods, which is the Ultra Meal Plus 360, this is an exciting one because we just completed a multi-center trial at 3 major universities: the University of Florida, University of Connecticut, University of California, Irvine. And we looked at patients with metabolic syndrome. And in just 12 weeks, Dr. Grunning, we reversed metabolic syndrome in over 44% of the patients.
Just with changing their diet? Just with this medical food?
Just with, we used a modified Mediterranean diet and the Ultra Meal Plus 360.
Isn't that amazing? So for all of you out there that are struggling with these disorders, and metabolic syndrome, was, as we've talked about on a previous show, is all about abdominal obesity, hypertension, high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, high blood sugar. It's a constellation of symptoms and problems that predispose you toward horrible things happening in your life. Diabetes, cardiovascular disease, sudden death, cancers, all kinds of things happen as a result of metabolic syndrome. Isn't it great to know that you can change that by the way you eat, by natural supplements that you can take, instead of having to take bags of prescription pharmaceuticals, which are basically just covering up the symptoms but never fixing the problem.
Right, exactly. And what we found is that when people change their lifestyle and do the use of the medical food, in these 12 weeks that people run through this program, a lot of them, if they can't come off some of their medications, they can at least titrate down. But what they're finding is some people can actually come off some of their meds.
Wow, that's exciting. And I know that you have some other things here with you. One of the things that I'm kind of interested in is fish oil, and you touched on that before, because as you and I have talked, there's all kinds of different grades of fish oil out there. And just because you're going to the store and going to some big store and buying fish oil, you think that it's okay.
Right.
But what are the problems with fish oil?
Well, there's a lot of contaminants in fish oil.
What do you mean by that?
Lead, PCBs, a lot of different things.
Mercury, heavy metals.
Heavy metals, exactly. And there was just about 1.5 years ago, there was on the news, big blurb, is that they found so many contaminants in a lot of the fish oil sold at the big brand stores.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, and Metagenics tests for 220 pesticides, 7 heavy metals, and then 32 other like PCBs, dioxin type contaminants.
So I know that you actually take your fish oil, which, by the way, if most people don't understand, fish oil comes from disgusting fish like mackerel and sardines and anchovies and really oily fishes. But you actually take those things and you distill them down and make sure that all those contaminants get removed, and you test to make sure that it does.
We test and we test and we test.
And you test and test and test. And that's really exciting. But for all of you out there who are just taking plain old everyday fish oil, be very careful, because some of it is full of a bunch of junk that you do not want to have in your body. Plus, you have to take a lot of it. It's not really the amount of fish oil that's important, it's the amount of omega-3 that's in the fish oil that's important. And so if you're taking one from a big place and it's just a 1,000 milligram fish oil capsule, there may only be 200 or 300 milligrams of omega-3 in that.
Right, exactly.
And so I know that Metagenics, yours is much more concentrated than that.
Absolutely. And a lot of times on the labels, they won't even tell you exactly how much of the EPA, DHA, which is the ones you want, are in there. They'll just say, 1,000 milligrams of fish oil.
Okay. So how does someone find a local practitioner that uses Metagenics products? Because I know that you only work through licensed healthcare providers.
Right.
So why is it that Metagenics chose to only work through doctors and other licensed healthcare people?
There's a number of reasons, and I alluded to one of them earlier. Is we're not in the pill business, we're in the health business. If we were in the pill business, we would sell to anybody. But we're in the health business, and so we want to make sure that people that are recommending our supplements actually know what they're doing. So we only sell to licensed healthcare practitioners. And to find a licensed healthcare practitioner, people can go to our website, which is www.metagenics.com. There's an area where they can type in the zip code, and it will pop up a list of practitioners in their area.
That's exciting, yeah. And I obviously am one of the practitioners who use this, but I'm not the only one in Southwest Florida. I think you've told me there's 30 or 40 practitioners in Southwest Florida who use Metagenics products. So I would encourage all of you, if you're interested in taking the right supplements that are good for your health, and you want the purity, you want a company that has provided studies to show these things actually work, go to Metagenics and learn more about where to find a healthcare practitioner who uses these products and get on them. And try to avoid going to the store and just buying any old multivitamin, any old fish oil, because for the most part those things are unregulated. There's no evidence that they actually do anything, and they may be contaminated with a lot of stuff that you don't want in your body. When we come back from our break, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other products you have and get into the subject of detoxification, which is a huge issue for me, and I really want to spend some time talking about that because it's an issue that we're all dealing with in this country.
In the health field, you get inundated with all kinds of supplements and all these different products.
You can pick up any magazine or any journal and you'll see multiple names.
And you're very skeptical about, the research behind it.
So if you have products that are variable from one day to another or of not good quality and don't get the results that you want, the patients aren't going to be very happy with them and the physicians aren't going to be happy with them.
Unless you have something backing it up and understand how it works, why it works.
Started doing some research on nutraceutical companies, and I came across Metagenics.
Instead of just saying this is a great supplement, these ingredients make sense, Metagenics talks about the research behind it, who they've studied, which conditions.
Metagenics is just a ton of research, a lot of scientific evidence.
And I get predictable results because of that.
It's evidence-based, it's rooted in good science.
Science is always important in relation to nutraceuticals.
They put hundreds and hundreds of patients through the programs.
I've seen the research that Metagenics has published.
They do all the testing, they supply all the supplements to the patients, and they look at the outcome, and I think it's a very scientific approach.
It allows me to have a lot of faith, if you will, into the product, that what goes into the product has been through clinical trials.
Well, you know that what the patient's getting is something that's going to impact their life.
Clients just know when I make that recommendation that it's based on my research, doing my homework, and then they feel confident in me.
So we want quality products that give us the results that we're looking for on a consistent basis, and Metagenics delivers that.
What Metagenics does is they test each batch that comes in from their suppliers.
They make sure the ingredients are as pure as possible.
A certified company, everything's been tested.
They even put everything in glass bottles.
Really a step above what other supplement companies are doing.
And I've never known a company more fanatical about quality.
If you were to come to my house and open up my cabinet, you will see Metagenics labels in my cabinet.
What I like about Metagenics is that
if we ever have questions, we're very quick to get customer support.
Metagenics goes the extra mile
to really help optimize health and wellness, and to do it in a way that's non-invasive and natural.
They do a great job in keeping me informed and keeping me up to date.
As far as what's going on with science and nutrition and genetics.
We feel like the people at Metagenics really stand behind the practitioners.
I love working with Metagenics.
They are a great company.
I'm very confident in the benefits that the patient is going to see.
People can get supplements anywhere, and people do. But I like to talk to them about, I know that what I'm prescribing, if it's a Metagenics product, will work. It will be the dose that it says on the bottle, for example, with probiotics. And I know there's research behind it.
I know that I have choices, but when you stay with one company and you get familiar with their products and you get familiar with how the patients are going to react, what you can expect, it just makes it so much easier for me to have certainty that this is where we're starting and this is where we're going to be able to go and achieve our goal.
passing of time and the coming of women's menopause involves structural changes that may affect her intimacy. The sudden decrease of hormone levels causes genital ulcerations known as vaginal atrophy that may provoke dryness, vaginal burning or pain during sexual intercourse. These symptoms can negatively impact well-being and affect a couple's intimacy. Mona Lisa Touch is the most innovative treatment to counteract naturally the effects of vaginal atrophy. Designed and realized by DECA, leader in the medical laser field for more than 30 years, Mona Lisa Touch is based on an advanced technology properly developed for vaginal treatment. The progressive decrease in estrogen levels causes the vaginal mucosa to become thinner, dry, and less elastic. CO2 laser acts with delicacy on tissues, inducing collagen production and improving the functionality of the treated area, restoring the correct balance of vaginal mucosa. More and more women today want to improve their intimate functionality to enhance their quality of life. If you want to rediscover your feminine harmony in a natural and safe way, ask your doctor or visit the website www.monalisatouch.com. Demand only the best for your inner harmony. Mona Lisa Touch.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 29. I had gone through 2 surgeries, radiation, was put on tamoxifen, and started experiencing all of the side effects of tamoxifen, which included vaginal dryness and atrophy.
Hot flashes and dryness and painful intercourse.
I was having a lot of pain with intercourse to the point where I just stopped being sexually active.
We were having no sex at all, none. And, you know, it really was detrimental to the relationship because, you know, here you have your partner who is looking at you like, what is wrong with you, or what is wrong with us? Is there a problem with, are you not attracted to me anymore? It's really hard not to be able to have, you know, sex with the person that you love.
I tried multiple things. I did the patch, I did creams, I did oral medication, and I just stopped doing it because of all the controversy.
This treatment is life-changing. It is something that you can do without feeling scared that it's going to make your breast cancer come back or cause other health side effects.
And there's no drugs involved, so you don't have to be worried.
There's no pain, no discomfort, and I definitely saw results pretty much immediately.
The treatment itself is totally painless. It just feels like a little bit of a vibration. After that first treatment, I had results almost immediately. I mean, within a few days, I could tell that things were functioning more as they should be.
Well, I would say I'm 90% better.
My message will be definitely try the Mona Lisa. It's worked for me.
I would recommend it to any woman who had any kind of concerns about vaginal dryness or atrophy.
The improved intimacy definitely impacts a lot of aspects of my life. I'm happier, he's happier.
I mean, I would say go for this because this will fix it.
Most of what is grown today is treated with pesticides. That's not so healthy for the environment, but does it really affect us? Meet the Palmberg family. They don't eat organic food,
Det kostar mer än vanlig mat. Det blir en stor skillnad när man är många i en familj.
But for the next 2 weeks, the Palmbugs are going to eat only organic. Before they begin, urine samples are taken from each of the family members. And it turns out they have a number of different pesticides inside their bodies.
Vi hittade framförallt insektsmedel, svampmedel och stråförkortningsmedel.
Vi äter insektsmedel.
Ja, äckligt.
Ja.
So, everything in the kitchen is replaced, and they begin eating only organic. Then, another round of samples are taken, and now, almost all the pesticides have disappeared.
Vi vet ju väldigt lite om långtidseffekter av att äta mat som har besprutats. Speciellt med tanke på att studier har visat att kemikalier i kombination kan vara långt farligare än kemikalier var och en för sig.
När man får höra det här så tänker man framförallt på barnen. Det är många kemikalier som har lämnat deras kroppar och jag vill inte ha tillbaka dem i mina barn.
Thank you. I love nutritional science. I've had a passion about nutrition since I was young. I remember that my father suffered with medical problems and pains, conditions the medical profession couldn't help him with, and he searched for answers. Finally, he changed his diet, lost 50 pounds, and got well. And in the process of seeing him suffering and searching, I found excitement and developed interest in the subject. He brought 50 nutritional books into the home, and I read them all. Then in the early 1970s, I was on the United States World Figure Skating team, and I got hurt, and I couldn't walk for over a year. And I spent some time in a natural health retreat, watching people get well who changed their diet styles. And I got excited about what I saw. I remember at my sister's graduation party from college, I met an attractive young woman who told me she applied to go to medical school. And I debated with her. I said, what do you want to go to medical school for? Doctors mostly prescribe medications for conditions that are a result of the toxic diet Americans are eating. It's like hitting yourself with a hammer every day and giving your hand a big smash. And then you get swollen and full of pain. And you go to a doctor and get pain medications for it. And the next day you take a big hammer and smack it again. It's the toxic American lifestyle that's resulting in all these diseases, driving people into the doctor's offices. The toxic foods we're eating are the hammer. You won't go to a doctor if you have breathing problems from smoking cigarettes and he gives you a drug to help you breathe better, and you still continue to smoke. That's what Americans are doing. So this young woman said to me, if you're so passionate about this subject, why don't you go to medical school? Why don't you change things? Why don't you help people? You know, I obviously thought about that and said, you know, I got to do that. I quit my job as an executive in my family's chain of shoe stores. I went back to the postgraduate pre-medical program at Columbia after college. I went to medical school, and I'm here to tell you about the excitement, the rewarding experience, and to give you a taste of the things I've seen in the fun I've had. And I want to show you 6 representative cases of people who changed their life to show you the power of a nutritarian diet. But before I do, let me give you maybe a 2-minute overview of what a nutritarian diet is, okay? Because a nutritarian diet is a diet style that's designed to be rich in nutrients and full of antioxidants and phytochemicals. It's a diet style with a high nutrient per calorie density. Your healthy life expectancy is determined on the foods you choose to eat. You have to get sufficient nutrient bang for each caloric buck. But you know, when you do so, when you flood your body with the nutrients it needs, it doesn't just make you healthy and live longer and prevent disease. It stops food addictions and food cravings and normalizes your appetite and makes your body gravitate towards your ideal weight effortlessly. It's the secret for most of what ails us. A nutritarian diet, sure, it's rich in nutrients with an adequate amount of what we need, nutrient-wise, but it also is very different from the style Americans are eating right now. Americans are eating a diet that's really dramatically nutritionally deficient. Americans are eating a diet with 55% of calories from processed and refined foods that don't contain vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals, and 30% of animal products. A diet with less than 5% of calories from fruits and vegetables and natural produce, nutrient-rich produce. Aside from white potato, most of what we eat, we're only eating about 5% of vegetation and produce. It couldn't be better designed to create a nation full of diseases like heart attacks and strokes and dementias and cancer, had it be designed by Al-Qaeda. Besides the fact of what it's lacking, a nutritarian diet is also designed to be low in those hormones that promote cancer and aging. Hormones like excessive amounts of insulin and excessive amounts of IGF-1, that's insulin-like growth factor 1, the primary hormone that promotes cancers like breast cancer and prostate cancer. I say, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. Because the more if you eat foods like sugar and white flour, the more it promotes weight gain and cancer. And I say, the more you eat green, the more you get lean. Because you eat more greens and beans and less meat, it lowers IGF-1, which stops cancer in its tracks and doesn't promote the progression of fat on your body and cancer cell proliferation. We have a unique opportunity in human history today with the exponential advances in nutritional science that have given us the power of G-BOMBs, G-B-O-M-B-S. These foods I call our immune system special forces. Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. These foods that inhibit fat storage on the body. Foods that prevent cancer. Foods that prolong our lifespan. The details of that is not my message or the purpose of this presentation. These people are. Let me show you the power of what a nutritarian diet can do. Here's Robert. I never met Robert. He just read one of my books. Robert was in a wheelchair. Today he can, not only can he not in a wheelchair, he can work all day on his feet. Robert had rheumatoid arthritis and was on 4 highly toxic drugs to reduce his pain from rheumatoid arthritis. Today he has no rheumatoid arthritis. He's off all his toxic medications. He no longer has diabetes. He no longer has heart disease and high blood pressure. He's off those medications too. The main story here is not merely that he lost 200 pounds. The story is that Robert no longer has medical conditions. He no longer has rheumatoid arthritis like millions of Americans do. The point here is you don't have to be sick and be suffering and be tied to medications for the rest of your life. Take Heather. Heather's another person who suffered most of her life. She suffered with terrible headaches, horrible headaches and migraines most of her life. She even took pills that cost $100 a pill for each single individual pill, and she still had headaches all day long. And she suffered, of course, with allergies and insomnia and anxiety and also on multiple medications. And Heather lost 75 pounds. But she wrote me, and she said, she wrote me a letter, an email. And she said, I'm all better. I know it's the greatest feeling in the world, never to suffer and have headaches anymore. I don't have insomnia. I don't need pills for depression and anxiety anymore. I'm well. I don't have menstrual pain. She said, the wonderful thing is when you fix the whole body, everything gets taken care of simultaneously. It makes you think of all the people that are suffering and have been told they have to be on medications the rest of their life with no way out. And then there's Donna. Donna from Kentucky. Donna's like stories like this I hear 100 times a month. She was in so much pain, she couldn't get out of bed or off the couch. When she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, her rheumatologist told her that she'd have to take these medications for pain for the rest of her life. Of course, Donna got well. She lost 62 pounds in the process. She's feeling well, and she made the effort to take the drive from Kentucky up to New Jersey when I was having one of my weekend immersion programs. She came up specifically to meet me and to talk to me and tell me about to thank me. It's so rewarding and wonderful and warm to meet these people who've recovered their health. She said to me, I was a food addict for 20 years. I tried one diet after another, and I knew I was in a downward spiral I couldn't get out of. Her life was unhappy, and she felt completely hopeless with it. And she said she felt like she was a failure. And I said, Donna, you weren't a failure. It's the information you were given failed you. With the right information, you have the ability to be set free, to take control of your life, to get rid of your food addictions. It's wonderful to meet these people. You almost want to, you see their happiness and their gratitude, and sometimes you can almost feel like your tears come to the eyes when you hear that you're going to hear some of these stories. And here's Ronnie from Texas, a perfect example. Ronnie had heart disease and had bypass surgery about 6 years ago. Within 4 years after his bypass surgery, his vessels clogged up again and got fully occluded with plaque. And then he proceeded to have angioplasty. Within a few months after angioplasty, he developed restenosis, and now he couldn't walk, had tremendous chest pain, was on multiple medications. He was literally sent home to die. I never met Ronnie either. He read my books and he communicated with me through the website. And Ronnie lost 140 pounds in 1 year, which isn't the story. The story is that his chest pains went away. He's now fit, healthy, has no heart disease. He doesn't have high cholesterol. He has great cholesterol and no cholesterol drugs. He has normal blood pressure, not on 3 blood pressure medications like it used to be, but on no blood pressure medications. His weight is normal. He's feeling well. He achieved these numbers to protect himself without the use of medications. That's how we know now he's protected. He truly reversed his condition, and he knows he's protected for his future. The message here is that scientific studies show that angioplasty and bypass surgery don't enable people to live longer. Those who go through those procedures don't live longer than those who don't have those procedures with the same degree of disease. They don't prevent future heart attacks. They're just a temporary Band-Aid to make people feel better for a temporary period of time. Why aren't people told this? Why don't people know? Why doesn't everyone know that they don't have to have heart attacks? They don't have to have strokes, that these diseases are reversible relatively easily. Ronnie was set free. And Jody, from nearby here, right in North Carolina, Jody suffered with psoriasis for many years. By the time, she suffered from psoriatic arthritis, which is like a mixture of psoriasis and rheumatoid arthritis. Involves, the itchy rash over your whole body, plus joint pains. By the time Jody was 50 years old, she had the rash over her whole body, including an itchy rash inside her ears, from head to toe. And she was on multiple medications, including prednisone and Plaquenil and methotrexate, to try to suppress their autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune diseases like this affect 24 million Americans. The most prevalent one is psoriasis, which affects more than 7.5 million Americans. Jody's been well for the last 12 years. She doesn't have psoriatic arthritis anymore. She doesn't have psoriasis anymore. Her skin is clear. By the time she first got diagnosed with psoriasis when she was a teenager, soon after she got diagnosed with lupus, Sjogren's syndrome, and eventually the joint pain of psoriatic arthritis. After being in pain for more than 25 years, being on medications that hardly gave her any relief, she found out how she could finally get well, and she did. I remember we have these health getaways where I take a lot of people on these vacations, and we eat healthy and teach them about nutrition. And Jody came with us to Utah to climb the Red Mountains. And we took a bunch of people, and we walked up this huge mountain, and we got to the top, and it was like a thrill to see the countryside, the beautiful countryside on top of this mountain. And Jody got to the highest point of that peak, and she put her arms up in the air like a V for victory, and she said, "Look at me, I'm a medical miracle." And I said to Jody, "You know, Jody, I'm so proud of you, but it's not a medical miracle. It's the inherent, self-repairing, miraculous, protective, self-healing machine the human body is already when it's fed optimally. Your body takes care of itself, just like you cut yourself. It's the health that you always had the right to that was taken away from you." And number 6, the last person I'm going to talk about is John Pelikowski. And I bring him up, John from New Jersey, is because my office is in New Jersey, and I saw him as a patient more than 20 years ago when he was 72 years old. And he too had triple vessel disease in his heart and had chest pain where he couldn't walk without significant pain. He actually had worked with a cardiologist, and the cardiologist set him up for a stress test, a cardiac catheterization, and he was scheduled for angioplasty and stent placement. And I pleaded with him, and I convinced him. I said, "John, give me 12 weeks of your life to show you that you can get back in good health again. Because once you put those stents in, you're never going to be the same. It's going to be a source of inflammation. It's going to promote more stenosis and more plaque in your heart. Let's get rid of it. Here's our chance. Give me 12 weeks. In 12 weeks' time, his chest pains were gone. He lost 40 pounds. He didn't have high blood pressure. He needed 3 medications for high blood pressure. That had dropped too. He went back to see his cardiologist. The cardiologist says to him, "Oh my goodness, John, I've never seen anybody reverse heart disease nutritionally. I've never seen anybody have it melt away like this. This is amazing." Can you imagine a cardiologist who does nothing except see patients with heart conditions, never once ever saw a patient reverse their heart disease with nutrition? When that's all I see is every patient get better relatively quickly? You know, the story here with John, what's the story? The story is now it's 20 years later. John's 92 years old. Over the years, he's gotten healthier and healthier. He doesn't have any heart disease now. He chops wood, he climbs up and fixes his roof. He enjoys his life. He doesn't take medications in his 90s that he needed when he was in his 60s and 70s. You follow that? He has normal blood pressure now. He has normal cholesterol now. He's earned these things. He's been well for 90 years. My point is that water runs off the waterfall and hits a rock. And after 20,000 years, the rock breaks in two. But the rock didn't age. It got hit by water day after day for 20,000 years. When you develop the problems that most Americans get those problems because day after day you put stresses on your tissues from eating the wrong foods that we shouldn't be eating, from living a diet style and a lifestyle of stresses that impact you negatively day after day, year after year. These are not the natural consequence of aging. Heart attacks and strokes and dementia doesn't have to happen. We don't have to have heart disease. All of us could be free of that if we so choose. Matter of fact, most cardiologists can then become lawyers and electricians and plumbers. Nevertheless, here's the point. My message to you today is that sure, nutritional science has made exponential advances in recent years. I love nutritional science. But the point is, it's not just preventative. Sure, we don't have to have heart attacks, we don't have to have strokes, we don't have to get demented, and yes, we can win the war on cancer. We have the information right now in the studies that show that a body is protective against cancer. We can make these choices and have better health than ever before possible in human history. And my point for today is that nutritional excellence, a nutritarian diet, is therapeutically more effective than medications for almost every medical condition. And the results can literally touch your heart. And that's my message for today. And you know that woman, that pretty young woman who spurred me on to go to medical school back 35 years ago? Well, I married her. And now I've been married for 32 years. I have 4 wonderful children. And I'm on a mission to share the power of nutritional excellence. So wishing you all, you reach your dreams and pursue your passions, and have much happiness and great health always, because it can be yours. Thank you.
Oh, I am here with my gynecologist. And I bet I've sent her thousands and thousands of patients, because when women don't understand what's happening to their bodies, when they lose their hormones, and if they live in the LA area, I go to Dr. Prudence Hall. So if you've lost your desire to have sex, you got to stay and watch this show. I want to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Prudence Hall. How are you?
I am great. Just delighted to be here.
I did a Facebook poll before I started the show. With a lot of different topics. What are you most interested in learning and hearing about? Hormones, hormones, hormones. It was always at the top. Toxins were there, cancer was there, but hormones. It's such a complex time of life. So, when a woman comes into you and she has all the 7 dwarves of menopause, itchy, bitchy, sleepy, sweaty, bloated, forgetful, and my favorite, all dried up, what do you say?
Help! I say, first of all, bless you. We're going to take you through this. This is a terrible, amazing transition.
Right.
I mean, I use both those words together because as terrible and fearful and awful as it is, it's a journey that opens us up to such great potential and such a newness, new life.
Women lose their hormones and they lose their sexual desire. They lose their sense of who they are. Yeah. But you can get it back. And that's what you and I have talked about in so many of my books. Tell them what the first thing that you would do to a woman who's just zeroed out.
Yeah. So first of all, women can get themselves back. And that loss of self is the thing that causes the most suffering. So, I mean, first of all, it's encouragement, because I've done this with thousands of patients for 30 years with bioidentical hormones. So with a woman in menopause, the most critical hormone is her estrogen. Menopause is very low to non-existent estrogen. So the first thing I do is I measure all the hormones, estrogen being one of the primary
Through
ones.
blood test?
Through blood test. Yeah, through blood test primarily on the first visit, then later with 24-hour urines.
Yes.
And we replace the estrogen with a bioidentical estrogen.
Explain bioidentical.
Okay, so bioidentical hormones are exactly the same hormones that we're making in our body. There's no difference. If I were to put one hormone, the bioidentical hormone, in a little petri dish, analyze every aspect of it, and then our own hormone in another dish, there's no difference.
But
no difference.
Women are so afraid of cancer. Explain that myth and debunk it for them.
Yeah. So please, please, if any message gets out, the message I want to put out into the world is that hormones are really good for us. They make our heart beat, they make our mind strong, they bring our libido back in our skin, and everything about us comes back with hormones. It's like water to a plant. How could water be bad for a plant? So hormones.
And look how the plant looks without water.
Yeah, dried up.
Right,
Itchy
there you
leaves,
go.
scratchy leaves. So hormones do not cause cancer. Estrogen does not cause breast cancer.
How did that myth begin?
Well, it's not a myth when we talk about the synthetic hormones.
Okay.
So that's a very old study, 2001, the Women's Health Initiative, showed that there was a substantial increase in breast cancer with women who took those type of hormones.
Because it's made from?
It's made from horse's urine.
Right.
And it's not a bioidentical hormone. It has 35 different hormones in it. And
are any of those horse hormones compatible to a woman's hormones?
Not really.
So
no, really not.
So women have been taking what a horse would feel real good all these years. I would think women feel so betrayed that they, because Even the horse hormones can make you feel a little better. Although I notice everybody gets kind of fat on them.
Not that much better, a little better. That's why I stopped using them about 25 years ago.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, that's all they had, right?
Yeah, so I bring compassion to this field. It was all we had, and women were in a very, very bad state. It made them feel a little bit better, but it didn't correct the underlying problems. So the bioidentical estrogen prevents 50% of dementia deaths in women. I mean, this is good data. 50% of dementia deaths, 75% of heart attack and stroke death. And that's what we die of, Suzanne.
Yes,
right. 8 times more women will die of a heart attack than we do of breast cancer. And there's no increased risk of breast cancer with bioidentical hormones.
I honor you because you are classically trained. You have not only stepped out of the box, you've expanded the box. So it was a not risky, it was a gutsy thing to do to start prescribing bioidentical hormones. You're one of the first. The bioidentical hormones, explain, or you tell me, would they be more prone to getting cancer not being on hormones, natural hormones?
Okay, so when we lose our estrogen, certain things happen in the body. The body gets inflamed. We get very stressed. It's an internal stress. Our cholesterol goes up, our blood sugar goes up, and those are the things that cause cancer in women. So when a woman comes in, I take care of lots of women who have had breast cancer that I recommend estrogen to, the bioidentical estrogen to.
Me being one of them.
Yeah, you being one of them, and the studies are now showing, there are hundreds of studies now showing that when women have estrogen positive breast cancer, there's about a 20% decreased recurrence rate when women take estrogen as opposed to not taking it.
And I'm one of them. I'm so far away from it that I don't even think of it as a risk of recurrence anymore. When a woman is estrogen dominant, because a lot of women are told that, what does that actually mean? It doesn't mean they have too much estrogen.
It's a balance between estrogen and progesterone, and primarily that's seen in perimenopause. So in perimenopause, we stop ovulating, or our ovulations become less, and our estrogen levels, in perimenopause, our estrogen levels are quite decreased, but progesterone could be decreased a little bit more.
I found perimenopause, that was my bitchiest time. So I was surging. One day my estrogen's really high, and one day it's really low, and one day, my husband irritates me, and the next day he's really cool. I think it's a dangerous time for women, isn't it, in terms of getting breast cancer?
Yes. So when the hormones are flipping all over the map, it's a dangerous time because all of those risk factors go up. Women, we deal with stress every day, as it is, but when our hormones are low, all of our stress hormones become very elevated, and that's stressed, high sugar, high inflammation. It's a really dangerous time. I love to see women in their late 30s, early 40s at the latest. That's a perfect time to begin to get baselines.
Should they, as they do comparative blood testing from year to year, when it starts dipping, is that when you fill the tank?
Well, I look at women. I look at how they're doing in terms of their body composition, how their bones are doing, what's their cholesterol doing, how do they feel, how's their memory, what's their sex drive like. And so it's not just looking at a number, it's really looking at the whole patient. And then the number, the blood value, the patient, we put it all together, and it's so common that women need some hormones in their early 40s or late 30s. Very common.
You've got a bombshell for me. There's a hormone, right? And what is it called?
It's called oxytocin.
Oxytocin. Where does oxytocin come from?
Oxytocin comes from the brain, from the pituitary gland.
Is this what we make when we're nursing a baby?
That's right. Hormones tell the cells what to do. The reason why we make skin cells and we can see and our heart is beating is due to hormones. So oxytocin helps the woman to deliver the baby. It helps her to let down with the milk, but it has a lot more benefits than just that. Well, it connects us. It makes us feel loving, open-hearted. It decreases inflammation in the body. Okay, so it's considered a love hormone, a social hormone. It increases ejaculate in men, which gives them more pleasure. It increases orgasms. It lowers blood pressure. It's amazing.
If you take oxytocin, you have stronger orgasms as a female, and men get stronger erections and increased blood flow.
There's less anxiety. Just like HGH lowers anxiety, oxytocin really lowers anxiety.
I have to say, every day is a good one for me. The greatest thing I have ever done for myself is to go on hormones, and you gave me the confidence to take hormones.